We have a discharge petition onto the floor. We only need 18 more members to sign it so we could bring it up. Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats want to stop it. And this is not a partisan issue. This is about fairness for women in America. But we make this pledge. The Democrats continue to hold back. If they continue to stop this, we will not stop. And if we are successful in 138 days, we will bring this to the floor. We will pass it. And we will fight together to change the course. And we will be able to celebrate the real reasons why Title IX was created and the successes that will be able to happen after we correct it. With that, let me bring up the youngest member in the Republican conference, Kat Cammack.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Kat Cammack. I proudly represent Florida's 3rd Congressional District, the Gator Nation. So go Gators. And I am a woman. Today, that is kind of ridiculous that we have to state that fact, but it's science, and we are following the science. You know, we just had an incredibly powerful hearing where we heard from world-class athletes, women who have excelled in their fields, and they are being punished for it. We are a nation of equal opportunity, not equal outcome, and what we have been seeing in recent years is the continued efforts to take away women's sports as we know it. We will have boys sports and we will have co-ed sports if this is to continue. Their stories are amazing. Women who were denied state championships, women who tied men and were sidelined and told, no, you can't have the trophy, we'll mail it to you. The woke mob, the limousine liberals who want to claim that they uphold the values of America, of equality, they aren't. But Republicans are. And we are fighting for these women. We are fighting on the 50th anniversary of Title IX to make sure that every little girl has the same opportunity that so many before her have had. And these women who stand behind me, they don't just represent a bipartisan effort to save women's sports. This is a multi-generational effort. These women represent millennials and Gen Zs who are truly on the front lines of this assault. Their stories are powerful, and they will change the outcome of not just elections, but the trajectory of our nation. I want to thank future Speaker McCarthy for his leadership. I want to thank Jim Banks, my friend and colleague, who has done tremendous work in leading this effort and championing this effort through the Republican Study Committee. I want to thank my fellow Floridian and friend, Representative Greg Steube, for his efforts to save Title IX, and of course from the great state of Arizona, Debbie Lesko, for having the courage to stand up, step forward, and say, we are going to champion women's rights, and has put forward an incredible piece of legislation upholding women's rights. You don't need to hear from us. Legislators, we are here to do the work on behalf of these incredible athletes that stand behind me. But I will say, walking over here, a reporter showed me a photo and a video of Vice President Harris playing basketball. And as a former basketball player myself, I did say I would challenge her to a one-on-one competition. Now, if I win, she's got to go to the border. But with that, I want to bring up a woman who has been fighting on the front lines, doing incredible work to bring women across this country together to protect and fight for Title IX, Ms. Christiana Kiefer. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. It is a delight to be here with you today. My name is Christiana Kiefer, and I am Senior Counsel with Alliance with Venezuela. We are the only organization in the nation to have filed a federal lawsuit on behalf of female athletes to defend their rights under Title IX. Title IX has promised women so much. When it was passed 50 years ago, it was designed to ensure that women had equal educational and athletic opportunities. It promised them a spot on the field, a spot on their own podium, the opportunity to showcase their talents, to earn those college scholarship opportunities. But today, those opportunities are being denied to women and girls across the country. I represent female athletes like Chelsea Mitchell, who is here with us today. She lost 4 state championship titles to 2 biological males who competed in the state of Connecticut. Selena Saul, another client, lost the opportunity to advance to the next level of competition and instead watched her own event from the sideline of a very elite event due to a biological male. Alana Smith lost the opportunity as a freshman at a very elite event to be named runner-up, which would have been quite an honor. Instead, she was bumped down in the rankings due to a biological male. Madison Kenyon and Mary Kate Marshall both have repeatedly lost to a male athlete in their collegiate competition across the state of Idaho. And Lainey Armistead, who is here helping to defend her state's Save Women's Sports law against attacks by activists and the ACLU. Title IX promised these women so much, but activists in the Biden administration are slowly turning back the clock on women's rights. This is wrong. Women deserve better. And if we want a future where young women can continue to showcase their talents, to be on the podium, to be named the champion, and earn those college scholarship opportunities, we must protect the integrity of women's sports. And with that, I want to invite up Chelsea.
Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea Mitchell and I'm a former high school track and field athlete from Canton High School, and I was ranked one of the fastest girls in Connecticut. When I lined up in my starting blocks, I should have known that I had a shot at first place. Unfortunately, I was forced to compete against male athletes in the female category for all 4 years of my high school career. As a result of this state policy that let them compete in girls' sports, I lost out on 4 state championship titles and 2 All New England awards. Girls deserve fair competitions. When we're given those opportunities, we can excel. When those opportunities are threatened or taken away, we lose. While this issue is very personal for me, it's not just about me. It's about every young woman who dreams of competing. We should have the opportunity to succeed and to chase our dreams, and this can only happen if we can compete on a level playing field. We should be here celebrating 50 years of Title IX protections. Instead, we're here because we don't know if those protections will last another 50 years. Thank you.
Well done.
At this time, we'd like to welcome Jennifer Bracero.
Hi, Jennifer Braceros with Independent Women's Forum and Independent Women's Law Center. Several years ago, IWF warned the United States Supreme Court that if they reinterpreted laws that prohibit sex discrimination to cover gender identity, that would have terrible repercussions for women's sports. After the Bostock decision came down, doing just that, interpreting sex to mean gender identity in the case of Title VII, we were told that our concerns weren't serious, that Title IX and Title VII are separate statutes, that the reasoning of the Bostock decision wouldn't be applied to Title IX. Well, guess what? Today, that happened. The Biden administration released regulations reinterpreting the word sex under Title IX to mean gender identity, citing the precedent of the Bostock decision. This is wrong. We know what sex means. We know what woman means. Sex and gender are not the same thing. Sex and gender identity are not the same thing. And if Congress wants to pass laws to protect different categories, they can consider doing that. But the Biden administration should not be rewriting federal law behind closed doors to achieve secretly what they couldn't achieve through the democratic process. Here to talk about some of the impacts that all of this has had on women's sports is Cynthia Montalone, a masters track athlete from Hawaii.
Aloha, my name is Cynthia Monteleone, and I took the very long flight from Maui to be here today. I actually should have been on a plane to Finland to compete at my next World Championship meet. I'm the defending 400-meter world champion for my age group. However, I chose to be here today instead because that World Masters Association meet is including biological males in the female category. In fact, the same biological male that I raced is racing again. I raised concerns about this issue, and as I've been told in the past, it was basically swept under the rug, and I was told there's nothing that can be done. Well, guess what? There is something that can be done. I can be here speaking today, encouraging and empowering other women and other people to keep speaking up for fairness in women's sports. I'm from Maui, which is the home of Patsy Mink, who is the co-founder of Title IX. And Patsy Mink struggled to create this, basically this regulation so that women and girls could have fair opportunities. In no way, shape, or form did she include the word gender or gender identity in the language. And if the intention was inclusion, then our females are being excluded. The girls here today telling their stories, they're being excluded from these same opportunities that Patsy Mink fought for. So it's this current interpretation is showing exclusion. And I am very disappointed in the Biden administration's ruling today, especially coming from Maui. I just want to also say that not only have I had the experience, but a year and a half after my experience, my daughter lined up for her very first high school race in 9th grade against a biological male athlete. So you can't tell me, no one can tell me this is not happening, because it happened to both of us. Not only that, but I witnessed my girls that I coach have anxiety attacks at the very thought of lining up next to someone who doesn't have to work as hard as them. They are having these mental health anxiety issues, and I would like to ask, where are the studies and where are the questions about the mental health issues with our female athletes? What about the mental health of their experiences? Let's talk about that instead of just one side. So I just want to say mahalo, thank you again to everyone for having me today to share my experience, and I will continue to speak up and speak out for a fair playing field for future generations of girls and women. Mahalo.
At this time, I would like to bring up Chairman Jim Banks. And while he's making his way up here, oh, he's right behind me. I do want to say, these girls didn't lose their titles. They didn't lose podiums. They were stolen. These podiums, these titles, these awards, they were stolen from them. And that is something that needs to be rectified. So with that, champion of this cause, Representative Jim Banks.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you to all of you for being here today. We just held as Leader McCarthy said, we just held a hearing in the Rayburn House Office Building and heard a number of powerful testimonies from these female athletes of what they've dealt with. And I want all of them to know, first and foremost, that we hear you. We heard your stories. We've listened to you. This isn't a matter of politics. This is about liberals versus conservatives. Behind me, we have young women who are conservative, and we have young women who are liberal. Over 70% of the American people are on the side, though, that boys shouldn't be allowed to compete against girls in sports, that men shouldn't be allowed to compete against women in sports. So this is a matter of fairness. It's very personal to me. I'm a girl dad, I have 3 daughters, and I love to watch each of them compete in sports. This is about whether or not Title IX will protect their right to do that. 50 years ago today, Title IX was signed into law. It was actually a Hoosier senator who was called the father of Title IX, one of the authors of that important law 50 years ago. He was a liberal Democrat. Today, I don't think he would recognize this law that allows men to compete against women and boys to compete against girls. So in conclusion, I want you to know that as chairman of the largest caucus on Capitol Hill, the Republican Study Committee, we put your concerns, the testimonies that you provided us, that we put into action, and we have a plan. And you heard a little bit ago, you heard the Republican leader, Kevin McCarthy, say that he is committed to taking that plan and advancing it as a part of the Republican agenda next January. But in the meantime, we're still at work fighting for this important cause. Debbie Lesko, my colleague from Arizona, introduced the Women's Bill of Rights. And we have dozens of Republican co-sponsors who have signed on to that, recognizing the differences between men and women and fighting for women and the important role that they play in our society. Greg Stubbe behind me from Florida has a bill to save women's sports. It's a common sense bill. And he too has dozens of co-sponsors, all Republicans, who have signed onto that bill. I went down to the well of the floor of the House and I filed a discharge petition to force a vote, to force Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, to put Greg Stubbe's bill on the floor for a vote. And we have nearly 200 signers who have signed on to that discharge petition, all Republicans, by the way, who have recognized the importance of this issue, who have signed their name. We're not that far away, though, from just needing just a dozen or more signers onto that discharge petition to force Greg Stubbe's bill to save girls' sports to come to a vote, so that every representative has an opportunity to vote to make their voice heard. These are important issues, and we take very seriously the message that all of you brought to share with us today, and we will continue to fight for you with that. I think we can take a couple of questions. Anybody? If not, we'll get out of the humidity and get back to work. But thank you very much to all of you for being a part of this important cause today. God bless.
Yes, thank you. Such a good speaker, too. And you're fiery. You're good. I know. I want to do some exploring. That is beautiful. I know. It kind of turned out it's sort of a pinching away. I know. Christine. Of course. I love these signs. Our
But no, I love the signs. I
Kind of look like a little Antifa-ish, I guess, with the black.
No, you guys are great, and my boss meant when he said this is not a one side or the other issue.
It's just, it's a reality. It's
really
okay.
enjoyed Mari's really fantastic, and so it's been great.
Yeah, thanks so much for all you guys have done.
No, and we're with Wolf too. So I work for the Republican Study Committee. Yeah.
I was just saying, it's funny because sometimes you'll still hear like, oh, still don't work with, and it's like, this is the first time in generations that we've had what have been traditionally such polar opposite sides rallying together around a unified cause.
I'll tell you, this is like our second press conference on this issue.
Yeah.
And it's just been really messed up. There really are.
And the conversations that are happening and these sort of new relationships that are forming, it's really exciting. I think it's a really, it's from the rubble of all the horrible that's happened. It's a lot of beautiful things are, I think, rising up, so.
Do you guys want me to take a picture for you? Or was I
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think we have to get our allies where we can. The left is going so far left that a lot of us, most people are like center to right.
I mean, I vote pretty Republican, and I'm like a registered Republican, but I mean, there's still certain issues that I don't think any party fully represents me on, but again, it's like...
Yeah, same. I have the same issue.
Yeah, we're so grateful to support it. We're so grateful to be here.
I'm gonna go, I'll be right back. I'm gonna
Yeah.
check and make sure all of these set up.
It was nice chatting with you. I did. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, at the court. Like when
My understanding is that you can send in different ways, so you can
Wait, for what?
for the Title IX regulations that
Oh,
were
okay.
released this morning.
Yeah.
So my understanding is that you could literally send them a flash drive with because they have to go through all of it. So the more you send them, the better. You have to they have to go through everything.
Yeah, make sure to, let me know and I'll make sure, I'll put it on my,
We were talking videos, songs. know about that.
Will you, because I'm streaming, can you tell the stream what you're saying? Just like a quick brief. That's okay, sorry to put you on the spot.
Regulations were dropped this morning. It doesn't have anything to do with sports. Apparently they're going to release sports information or regulations later. The suspicion is after the midterms because they know the public is starting to open their eyes to the sports issue. But regulations related to, bathrooms, locker rooms, the sleeping arrangements when you're, going on a trip. With your, education and everything. So those regulations dropped this morning. We're going to have 60 days to submit comments on it. And if you follow Women's Liberation Front, we will make sure that you get all of the information that you need about how to submit comments. My understanding is that you can submit comments in like a variety of different ways and media and whatnot. So, but we'll have lots more information about that to come.
Great. Yeah, everybody go, follow. I'll put all of the Women's Liberation Front information in the description of this video once it's done. And I will, stay in touch with Amanda. We'll make sure that you guys have everything that you need to know. And for people who always say they want to be a part of the activism and they wish that they could come and can't, this is the way that you guys can get involved. So, yeah.
Anybody can do this.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Sweet, guys. This is great.
Right out the UK, but they went to Scotland and Wales, right? They thought that was chic.
Nice.
The athletes that stepped up, like they are impressive.
Yeah.
Because the little Thomas thing, they wouldn't step up.
Wouldn't say anything. Yeah.
The first time, they were like, no.
Just so you know, I have my stream on, so as long as you're okay. No, as long as you're okay with it.
And even the Yale kids came out, they were afraid, but they were like interested.
But it was like we kept telling them, like, we will support you. Like I wish the school would do something, and that's the thing. I think that and it's like this, and it's just, but it's also a shame to like throw girls into that position, where they're all of a sudden having to be these activists But sometimes you gotta step up and rise. I mean, it is what it is. So they have Women of America, which is great.
That young woman is what didn't even perform athletically perform, and with a trans whatever.
Which one? Wait, what?
Hand.
The male.
I just want to say thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Like, really. Can you? I'm straight.
I know that there's always going to be differences, right?
No,
But
this
you know what?
is.
This is when it's like, no.
Yeah. No. There's not that many differences.
No, and this is the thing. I said this is the first time, and if it's okay, I have a stream on. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. This is the first time in generations that we've seen the political aisles bend and come together, and it's like this is such a critical time for conversation. And conversations are happening, and I said, even though this is like the rubble of something awful, we're rising up with a lot of new, wonderful energy. So.
And this transcends party, this transcends age.
This is so dangerous.
Yeah.
This is so despicable and dangerous.
I have daughters. It's like there's no sitting on the sidelines anymore.
And hearing today, I was talking about, I grew up my whole life. I'm 34. I spent more than half my life as an athlete.
Right.
Cheer and basketball, volleyball, softball, and golf, and rodeo. And when I was in high school, I wanted to join the golf team. They said, no, it's a boys' team.
I had the same thing with I wanted to join the football team.
Yeah, and they said, no, you girls can't play. And so we created our own team.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now it's come back.
Right.
We have
Well, and why don't we have that? No, sorry, you can't join.
We haven't even had awards for 50 years.
Right.
There's
Right.
And the 5th year anniversary, there's men in our sport.
Well, and there's also a sense of urgency. It's not even a symbolic thing. When you look at the Fallon Fox, like mixed martial arts, Tamika Brents didn't know that she was fighting against a military-trained biological male.
It's dangerous.
And fractured her skull. I mean, that could have been a life-ending or life-changing injury.
Ronda Rousey was right when she stepped up and said, "We can't do this. This is dangerous."
No, it's dangerous. And like I said, I have 2 daughters. My sister played Division I basketball for Syracuse, and she was an excellent. I was like in her shadow. My parents like, "Yeah, you never liked sports." I'm like, "Yeah, I did. I just wasn't as good as Jewel." But like,
you're fighting now.
right?
You're fighting
I was like,
now.
I'll make sure that my daughters and my nieces have that same pathway because I will be goddamned if there's no. Thank you for all you're doing. Appreciate you. Thank you. Oh, you guys.
Yeah, I'm really I also have 2 daughters. I have to hold this tall sign. I have to. I can't bring it down because it'll be noticeable.
What? Put it down. I know. I was like trying to like. Huh? Oh, nice. Good. Hey, right? We're like in the background, like. What do we want to do?
Well, I would love if we could get like a picture
Some pictures,
of us,
yeah.
in front of the Canada Capitol.
Heck yes.
Yeah, very cool.
Where's the?
Share all of these. Yes.
Yes, I will share. I'll make sure everybody gets all of it, and I got the live streams and all that kind of stuff. Woo-hoo.
See, she has a sign with a stick. Yeah, I do have them to stick around, and I think they're the perfect one.
Is there a bathroom in there?
Are journalists allowed?
I am not sure. The other ones,
Cool, guys. All these amazing people.
I actually, so when you gave them to me, I put them in my backpack and I found them on our way up here. There's no I have put them in my backpack. And then I lost them.
I have more stickers. It's Connie. It's Connie. Like stickers. So next to like, but like I can't. I gotta be. So I might give you guys like the.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, good.
Oh, cool. Sure. That's awesome.
Here.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Can I have you all hang around to a photo, Amanda, with IW as well? Work at the IW, the athletes, and all of you. I think that would be
That would be awesome.
All right, Come on, ladies. Thanks for your help.
Thank you.
And IW, let's get with Wolf as well. Get some of the signs up.
I love your t-shirt.
Look at our athletes in the front sprinkled through.
Yeah, am I blocking you?
I'm short. Your athletes are tall, and I'm so short. As long as they go be on. What was your name?
Yeah, on the website, I was like researching everyone a little. Yeah, I need to find the space. We should be fine.
Get that sign high. Get that sign high.
For life, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Camera, which one are you? Hold your smiles. Oh, thanks, Alexa.
All right, there we go.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, my leg.
Woo! Alexa, come on in. I know, right?
And she's gonna jump in, she said.
Come on in. All
Oh,
right.
And then all biceps.
Right in here. Biceps strong.
I'll pick the best one. Okay.
Oh no! Your bicep muscle is so bulging. Thanks guys so much for coming.
Thank you. Yeah.
Really appreciate you guys coming.
Thank you. Thanks for all you guys are doing.
Can I get a picture of all inside the suit?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I post on my Instagram story?
No.
Everybody, I'm gonna get it with the cool background. Squeeze together a little bit.
Wait, hold on. Should I just hold the wolf sign